They are dressing you as a god. Cool feathers settle on your bare shoulders, a crown of green Quetzal plumes, gold in your ears, the smell of marigold and cold copal smoke all around you, and a crowd is going down on its knees as you pass to you. You are the most beautiful young man they could find, and for the next year, every person in this city will worship you as a living god. You know exactly when it ends. 1 year from today, you will climb a staircase you can already see, and at the top, a priest will cut the heart out of your chest, and you will walk up those steps yourself. You have no name that survives. We know you only by what you became, the Tezcatlipoca, the living image of Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, the god of the night sky and of fate, the most feared of all the gods of Tenochtitlan. This is the great island city in the lake, at the height of its power, before any ship from across the sea has come for it. And of all the young men in the empire, the priests have chosen you. Not because you are noble, because you are perfect. We know this story from a book written down after your world had already ended the Florentine Codex, the work of a Spanish friar named Sahagun, who asked the old Nahua men what they remembered. So everything that follows is what the Codex describes, that the highest honor your world could give a man was to make him a god for a year, and then to ask him to die. So run the 2 clocks now, because they will run all year. One counts down the days of your worship, and every gift, every kneeling crowd, every new honor brings the knife 1 day closer. The other clock never moves. The day of your death was chosen the moment they chose you, and you have known the date from the start. The cruelty is not that they trick you. They tell you everything. They will give you a perfect life precisely so that you have the most to lose, and then they will hand you a flute and ask you to climb. Level 1. The choosing. It begins with your body. The priests of Tezcatlipoca are looking among the captives and the young men of the empire for a body without a single flaw, straight-limbed, smooth-skinned, beautiful, his face like something carved, his voice clear. As the Codex tells it, they reject any man too tall, too short, marked, scarred, or stooped. You were chosen the way you would choose a jewel. From this day, you belong to the god, and your old life is over. But so, you are promised, is every hardship you have ever known. You will never carry water or grind maize again. For the time you have left, you will be served. Level 2. Becoming the god. They take you and they remake you. Your skin is painted, your body perfumed with sweet resins. They set on your head a crown of long Quetzal feathers, green and shining, and wind marigold and the flowers of cacao around your neck. You are taught to carry yourself like a great lord, slowly, calmly, looking at no one. When you walk out for the first time, the people do not see a young man in a costume. As the account describes it, they see Tezcatlipoca himself, alive and walking among them. And they kneel, and not one of them has forgotten the morning this ends. Level 3. The flute and the flowers. And here is the first turn of the cruel clock. None of this is yours to keep every sweet night you spend, as a god is 1 night gone from the only year you have. Now your strange, beautiful days begin. A retinue of attendants serves and guards you. You are given the most refined skill a noble can have. You are taught to play the tlapitsali, the small clay flute, sweetly and well. At night, you walk the streets and the canals of the island city playing it, and people wake and come out to honor the sound because the god is passing. And the days keep running out, even as you play every sweet note, 1 note closer to the morning this ends. Level 4. What you really are. The god you have become is the one who decides how men die, and your world has already decided how you will. Tezcatlipoca is the smoking mirror, the night wind, the god who sees men's hearts in his black obsidian mirror, who gives kings their thrones and takes them away on a whim. He is fate itself, and for 1 year fate wears your face. Every knee that bends to you bends to that, to the god of the obsidian, and to the obsidian that is coming for you. You are not pretending. In the eyes of your whole world, you are him, and being him has only ever ended one way, on the stone, under the blade. Level 5. The 4 brides. The year thins down to its final 20 days, And now comes the summit of the good life, the highest your fortune will ever climb. They take away the loose dress of the god and dress you instead as a warrior, a husband, a man at his peak. And they bring you 4 young women to be your wives. As the codex names them, each is dressed and called for a goddess. Tezcatlipoca, the goddess of flowers and love, Xilonen, the young maize, Atlatonen, and Toxcatl, the goddess of salt and of the sea. For 20 days you live as a beloved husband to 4 goddesses, feasted and sung to and danced with through the streets. This is the happiest you will ever be. It is meant to be, because it is also the bell that tells you the knife is 20 days away. Level 6. The cruelty of the gift. Sit in this because it is the whole horror of it. They do not starve you or chain you or torment you toward the end. They do the opposite. They make your last 20 days the sweetest of your entire life, give you love, give you music, give you wives, give you a city on its knees, so that when you climb the steps, you give up everything a man could want, and not just a wretched life he was glad to lose. The more they love you, the more it costs you to die, and you know this, you have known it for a year. You eat the feast and hold your brides and play your flute, and the date sits in your chest the whole time, fixed, unmoving, drawing closer with every perfect day. Level 7. The last morning. The day of Toxcatl comes the way you always knew it would. As the account describes it, your 4 brides are taken from you, and you are led down to the water. They put you in a covered canoe and carry you away from the great city, across the lake, to a small temple standing apart, a modest stone pyramid called Tlacochalco, the House of Darts, away from the towers of Tenochtitlan, as if the empire wished to die in you quietly. No one drags you. You step out of the canoe yourself. You can see the steps. You have been able to see this exact morning in your mind for 365 days, and now you walk toward it. Level 8. The climb. Here is the detail no one who hears it ever forgets. As you climb the temple steps, you carry the clay flutes you learn to play, and on each step, you break one. You snap a flute and let the pieces fall, and climb to the next, and break the next. Step by step, you give back the music, the sweetness, the year, the god leaving it broken on the stones behind you. The codex remembers it as willing. Your own attendants, who served you all year, climb beside you, and you do not run, and you do not scream, and you do not have to be held. You walk up to the top of the world you were given, breaking your own song as you go. Level 9. The stone. At the summit, the priests are waiting, dark against the morning, and they lay you back across the sacrificial stone, your chest arched up to the sky. The blade is Itztli obsidian, volcanic glass, napped to an edge sharper than any metal in your world. In the belief of your people, this is not murder and it is not waste. It is the most honored death a man can be given. The god, returning to the gods, feeding the sun so that it will rise again, so that the maize will grow and the world will not end. They believe you are giving your beating heart to keep the universe alive. And in the space of a breath, the year of the living god is over. Level 10. The next one is already chosen. Here is the part that turns the whole story cold. The moment you are gone, it begins again. As the Codex describes it, on the very day you die, the priests are already presenting the young man who will be the god for the coming year, chosen a year out, just as you were, perfect, just as you were, with 365 days of worship and feasting and 4 goddess brides ahead of him, and the same staircase waiting at the end. Your death is not the end of a story. It is one turn of a wheel that is turned for longer than anyone alive can remember, and will turn again the moment they carry you away. That is the part that should be impossible to hold in your head. You were a god. For 1 year, you were the single most envied human being in the most powerful city in the Americas, adored, perfumed, garlanded, married to 4 goddesses, worshipped in the streets by night. And you were a dead man the entire time, and you knew it, and so did every soul who knelt to you. They were not bowing to a god who would live forever. They were honoring a god they had agreed, together, to kill. And here is the quiet weight under all of it. You did nothing wrong. You committed no crime, lost no battle, angered no king. Your whole offense was that you were beautiful, that your body was perfect enough to be worth giving to a god. The very thing that lifted you above every other man in the empire is the thing that laid you on the stone. You were a young man taught to play a flute so that the breaking of it would have a sound, worshipped for a year so that the loss of you would be felt. Everything they gave you was the wrapping on a gift you yourself had to carry up the steps and hand over at the top. The codex does not tell us your name, or whether your hands shook on the steps, or what you thought as you broke the last flute. It tells us only that you were chosen, that you were adored, and that you climbed. The rest is yours alone, and you took it up the stairway with you. Remember it as the old men remembered it. Decades after the towers fell, the feathers and the flowers, the four goddesses, the flute on the canals at night, and one young man climbing into the dawn, breaking his music on the stones, walking of his own will toward the obsidian, the most envied man in the empire, a dead man for a year, a god who had to die. Another life history for God is waiting. Subscribe.